Hello, everyone, and welcome to our program. Today, I'm excited because we are bringing you a really good and interesting topic. Today, we're covering session one of our three-part series that is talking about running your business from home during COVID-19. And the reason why it's jam-packed is because we have our expert IT consultant here that will be going through why it's important to make sure that you are taking the proper precautions to actually protect your business, to protect your employees, to protect your clients, and all of that good stuff. My name is Sidonie Naismith, a business consultant who manages the Broward office under the MBDA COVID-19 Recovery Initiative, which is an MGIL and Associates project that was funded by the CARES Act grant from the U.S. Department of Commerce. So what that means is that we are the management consulting firm that is able to provide technical assistance to small businesses that are impacted by COVID-19. So please feel free to reach out to us. We look forward to helping all the small businesses that need assistance with as little as just doing something like a capability statement to actually sourcing contracts and finding business for you as a small business. Now, I always like to know where people are joining me from. So I launch a quick poll just to see what county it is that you are joining us from. So if you don't mind, please do go ahead and let us know if you're joining us from Broward County, if you're joining us from Miami-Dade, Palm Beach. We have some other Florida counties here, or even if you're not in Florida at all, we have a few more votes that are coming in. So I will end the poll momentarily. All right, wonderful. So it looks like Broward has it again today. We have people from Broward County, Miami-Dade County, and Palm Beach County. And of course, we have 14% that's not in Florida. We always like when people join us from all over. It gets us really excited as you join our program. Now let's get started. Like I said, it's jam-packed and we're ready to go. Lionel Aluka will be joining us, and he actually is he has experience for over 15 years for working for 6 of some Fortune 500 companies. And he actually left his role from Accenture, which is a top technology consulting firm. And he started his own business. He built a strong team of supporting engineers and developers with the goal to assist small businesses and to help them to leverage newer technologies and to work remotely. So he is the expert. I mean, he is phenomenal. This guy, he lived in 9 countries and he speaks over 6 different languages fluently. But he's not here for all of that. He's here for you, and he's here to tell you what you need to do and break it down to you as a small business, because a lot of times what we're doing, we are just busy running our business. So I'm gonna turn it over right now when Lionel will take it from here.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the intro, Sidonie. It's a real pleasure to be in front of you guys today. As you heard, I work for a company called the Luxon's Business Solutions. It's a technology consulting company. And today, the goal is to help everybody here understand a little bit more about what they are facing, what they need to be preparing for when they are working, and the dangers of the internet, because there are quite a bit of them, and it's important that we get educated on them. So without starting too much, Sydney said a lot about myself. I'm not going to spend too much time, um, talking about it. I work for a few companies. I worked as a developer, systems engineer, network engineer, security engineer. Then I moved into the cloud and the marketing strategy space a little bit. And hopefully you'll get to see firsthand today what was done from what you want to know about from a cybersecurity standpoint. So let's start with some items that we want to pay attention to, things that would make us be aware of the real danger of the internet and everybody who's working from home, things that we need to be worried about. Luxottica. Luxottica is the company that owns Ray-Ban, and just a few weeks ago, they were attacked by some ransomware attacks. Ransomware is, everybody gets these email, click here, or your phone bill, has gone late. Pay here, and you'll click here to go and pay your bill, or your AT&T phone bill is, I don't know, doing whatever, and you don't even have an AT&T account. So Luxottica suffered that same kind of attack. They have 80,000 employees, and they, do pretty well for themselves. But, one such attack led them to shut down their entire operations in 2 countries. And, as of today, their website, three months after the attack, their website it is still down. The business has still not recovered today. That's how bad these attacks can really be. Microsoft, which is a very, very safe company, they also recently, just a few days ago, I think between the 10th and the 16th, they were attacked as well. It was not an attack, it's one of their back-end servers that was exposed. So there's 13 billion records that were exposed. If you've ever used Bing, the search engine, if you've ever used Bing, and you might actually be one of the people whose records were exposed. Real serious potential danger. But fortunately, the information was not personal user information. It's more so about like how they run things and whatnot. So your information was still endangered, but it really could have been a little bit worse. So a company as big and as secure as Microsoft is not completely immune to anything whatsoever. How much more urgency is there that you make sure that you are prepared for whatever may happen. There's also a few universities, since we've been working remotely, that have really been affected by this. Columbia College, Chicago, Michigan State, University of California being a couple of them. They've had to pay, millions of dollars, literally. So there is a real danger when you're working online. More alarming facts: hacking. Every 39 seconds, there's a hacking attempt. So for the last 3 minutes that we've been talking, there have been several people that have suffered some attacks. Over 2,000 every single day. 34% of those attacks are caused by internal or involved in internal contacts. So somebody from within your own company would be causing this. Small organization or big organization, all the same. The attacks mostly come by email, and 43% of the victims are small and medium businesses. We are talking to small and medium businesses today. So almost half of the attacks are targeted towards smaller companies. So yes, this is very relevant to you. The attacks we talked about today usually start with an email that you'll receive most of the time. And it could be requests to get through this. The ones of us who know what VPN is, we'll talk about this a little bit later. The Zoom accounts that you're supposed to log into, or you're trying to sign up for Zoom, you might get a fake link of Zoom, or there's an incoming chat request. So these things could be very difficult to tell apart, and their effects can be damaging. But a lot of the time, people don't even know what they are. Their effects themselves, or don't even know that they've been hacked until the information shows up somewhere on the dark net. Could be passwords that are not strong. So when you're setting your passwords, set some stronger ones. It could be insider, people from inside who are looking to get some information. It could be backdoor vulnerabilities. When you have a printer, people can use printers to hack into your computer. That's what the concept of backdoors would be, or, internally from a server as well, they can access that way. Applications that somebody will build for you, apps that people are putting together, there's a lot of holes in these apps. Malware, social engineering, uh, us talking and me trying to get information from you in some way or another. When sharing documents, you're giving too many permissions to too many people, or you're just configuring a system badly, and those could also cause some things. So we're able to gather some information from the same database that the FBI uses. For those who are going to get the presentation afterwards, feel free to, click on some of these links. You'll see there that, if you click on this remote database right here, you'll actually, get the same information that local enforcement actually gets. I would click on it, but I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, as I'm sharing only one screen at this time. But every single day, there's 1,200, complaints that are received regarding attacks. $3.5 billion in 2019. The number one state is California. The number two state is Florida. Why, you may ask? A little bit of older people and a lot of money and lots of tech companies, and good reasons for any hacker to essentially go there. The most affected people would be the 60+ age range. They are easier targets. The second least is the 50 to 59 age range. I'm going to actually click on this database so that you guys actually take a look at it. It's a very good one for you if you're looking to, if you have a little bit of time afterwards, do check it. It shows the internet crime report, a database that is from the FBI, and you'll be able to get like some really, really, really cool information about what are the states that were affected, how much are affected, how many have been total. They've reported 10 billion in the last 5 years that they've been doing this, and a bunch of other information that you may or may not find interesting. What are the ways that people will be attacked? Malware attacks, some malicious attack of some type that would get to you. Spear phishing and phishing attacks. We talked about phishing attacks a little bit earlier. It's just those emails that you would receive, and they could really, really be targeted. Spear phishing, thanks a spear, the ending is pointy, so it could be targeted very directly towards a specific company. Man-in-the-middle attacks. I pretend to be Sydney, and I will intercept the messages that are going, the communication between Sydney and whomever they may want to be, they would be speaking to. DDoS attacks, those are a little bit more internal attacks. SQL injections are data, databases manipulating their information, perpetrating database. They are extremely effective as well. The reputation losses always ensue, attacks, and the cost is typically very high, even for small businesses, $500,000, which is scary. And the recovery time can be 50 days, but we just talked about a company that 3 months later, they still have not recovered. How do we solve this problem? If you have any financial systems, if you have any applications that do any kind of reporting from the financial side, the best solution is to prevent the problem from happening, because once it happens, your information can be completely turned into undescribable terms. We talked about ransomware, and you will have to pay money to recover your information. So how do we prevent this from happening? Secure your physical environments. You are working from home, but if you have files that are laying around, do put them into place. You never know. Somebody could grab it, think it is something else, and it goes somewhere else. You would be surprised the insane percentage of people who are victims of, something like this. Just somebody grabbing the wrong document, it gets to the wrong place, it gets picked up. It's an easy way to protect yourself. Electronic security. When you're choosing a software company, when you're getting the new cool app, when you're getting, downloading using your TikTok and using whatever account for your TikTok, when you're using your Zoom account, just make sure that there is a little bit of research that goes into getting these apps. Then, oh, this looks really cool, let me get it. Oh, we're using this new software, to do financial work. Let's look a little bit into the company itself and what their reputation is, and let's make sure that there are passwords, in terms of protection. Let's make sure that we're working with some entities, somebody who is able to look at our security and make suggestions for us. It's better. The best way to prevent this, 80% of the problems will be solved by preventing the problem rather than looking to fix it after it has happened. If there are standards for when you standards for the communications that you have, make sure that you have every employee following it. That way you'll be able to recognize the messages that come that are different. When you get an email from Chase Bank and you do have a Chase account, but having some standard systems or knowing what their systems are going to allow you to recognize the fake attempts to impersonate Chase Bank. Same with you guys, as you're sending, make sure you have the standards so that others can actually recognize the same. Train your employees on the procedures that you have. If you're discarding some documents, make sure you're shredding, documents that need to be shredded. Make sure that if you have a repository on a cloud repository of some kind, SharePoint, whatnot, make sure it's secure. Make sure that you have permissions that are set. We'll come back to a couple of these ones whenever somebody is no longer working with the company. Make sure that you remove them immediately. These are very, very small things that can help if you have very specifically applications in the payroll applications. There are some new technologies that are in place that I wanted to touch with you. These two videos are very, very, very interesting, hoping that we'll be able to actually play them. If you have some of the cool things that are going that are out there, the Amazon, the voice recognition systems, if you are doing work, make sure that you shut them down, the Alexas and whatnot, because you do not know what is being recorded. All of the Google assistants, they look cool, they sound cool, they have an insane amount of recording capabilities and backdoors that would allow any entity to get a hold of you guys. I'm sure you've seen all of the jokes of Facebook, about Facebook, or hearing some of our conversation, or whomever hearing some of our conversation. These are not jokes, they are real things. If you use a VPN, VPNs allow people to connect securely to their company. They are very effective. Look into them, they would help you. If there's more than one people working and you have a central office, make sure you're leveraging firewalls. Even if you're not as well, look into firewalls. They allow you very, very granular control of who's onto your computer or in your organization, who's on what server, who has access where. You really, really have absolute control of everything that's happening to you. Mentioning that this TikTok part, because we're seeing, what was almost a soap opera with the purchase of TikTok that needed to sell some of, their the China portion of the Chinese portion of their systems. It was not for fun. It's because, there are, TikTok actually gathers a lot of your information, and just as does every single app that you're using. So since TikTok is a Chinese-owned company, the question is, how much information, what information are they taking from you? So before you use these, it's never bad to do a little bit of research. Now, there are two videos one of them that speaks of Meraki and another one that speaks of Microsoft. Because of the screen that we're sharing, I get the feeling that we're not able to play them. You will be receiving these presentations, and I encourage you to take the time to see them. Meraki cameras are really, really great. Meraki comes from Cisco. They were purchased by them a couple of years ago. These are very intelligent cameras that allow you to literally know how many people are in the place at a specific time. So you'll be able to know there are 13 people that are in location X at this point in time. You'll be able to get all kinds of real time data about your systems. When we're talking about intelligent systems, that is, Meraki truly leverages artificial intelligence to give information. What we literally see in the movies, look into Meraki, and their cameras, they're great. They're expensive, of course. It's a Cisco product. Cisco is a leader when it comes to anything security, but it's completely worth the buy. Microsoft, business security, Microsoft has always been at the forefront of anything that has to do with security and anything really business operations. You'll be able to know how many calls your employees are making. You'll be able to, pull out reports of any kind. You'll be able to flag for specific words. So, you can actually research, hey, who in the company is using the word resale? You'll be able to know how many different mentions there are of the word resale. You'll be able to get anything that you can think of, and even more, you'll be able to get when you invest into some security systems. I really, truly encourage you guys to, it's an embedded YouTube video. I truly encourage you guys to watch these two. But because we have, quite a bit to cover, we will keep moving with our presentation, and if we're done, we'll come back to these. I really would like you guys to actually see them. Moving on. We talked about malware, and we talked about phishing scams, the emails that you'll be receiving. This is a perfect example of one. You can sort of see a detection system. If you have anything that's Microsoft, they're really, really good. You'll see some kind of notice. Even when you're on the internet, you'll get a notice of an unsafe link. Pay attention to them. They are real things. You don't want to be giving your information and not even knowing that this has happened whatsoever. If you are asked to use any kind of advanced detection systems, or you're asked, that your information be collected for improvement, depending on whom it is, you may or may not want to accept. You do want to read before you accept anything whatsoever. And I wouldn't just get super click happy and start just clicking. Encryption of emails. If you are using Microsoft at all, you'll get, if you're using Outlook at all, you'll actually, when you send your email, see a section that it literally says, if you pay attention, encrypt. And when you click on that, what that encryption really means is that from point A to point B, the message that is being sent is not going to be able to be read by anybody but the sender and the receiver. If you're sending a message via your normal Gmail account, you're not sending an encrypted message. So anybody who is a hacker of any kind is able to intercept your information. If you're using G Suite or one of the paid services, you may be able to get this. And you just want to be mindful of the fact that anything that you're sending over the internet, the second that you press that send button, you don't know where it's going, but it's going through a lot of different steps, and there's a lot of different points where your information can be intercepted. Once you know this, you'll be a little bit more careful about, before you actually click the send button. If you are using a Microsoft computer in any way, shape, or form, or any kind of computer, they all have some scanning services. Those virus threat protection messages that you're getting, they are a real thing. They're not just there for kicks. They actually do a lot towards protecting you from receiving known attacks. What happens is these, organizations have spent a lot of time analyzing a lot of attacks that have happened. So they are now, they have built databases, that intelligent databases that allow them to warn you or to prevent you from receiving attacks that they have already received in the past. It's important that you do this. As you receive the presentation, you'll actually see exact steps that you can follow to, enable your virus and threat protection or run the scans that you need to do. Hopefully this is helpful, to you, the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation that is. It's important that you protect your information with passwords. Anybody who is using the name of their favorite foods, the name of their dog, the name of their daughter, their daughter's birth date. These are the very, very first thing that any hacker is going to use in any way, shape, or form. So you probably want to use something a little bit more complex. You want to use, you want to make sure that you put digits in your password. You want to make sure that you put characters, question marks, exclamation points, whatnot. It's not for fun. You really do actually want to do this. Passwords are not that difficult to crack. They're just not. Sending information. If you have OneDrive, you can put a password on it, because if you're working remotely and there's more than one person who are working, chances are they'll be able to have access to some information. Some do not matter, some do. So you want to have a good control of it. Here, you'll be able to get kind of like, if you have OneDrive, the very easy steps that you can have to actually control who's going to have access to what or who's not going to have access to what. Same thing with recovering files from malicious attacks. If you're backing your files to anything, if you have Microsoft, and I'm focusing on Microsoft because most of us have an Outlook or have used Outlook. The same apply for Google or Gmail. Just think the same thing. You're on your Google Drive. You want to make sure that you're careful what you're sharing and what you're not sharing. These things they sound small, they seem small, or I just, there's a file, I just left it here, but maybe I didn't want this file to be shared. Maybe I did want this file to be shared. These are consideration you really want to take, because your information really will be taken very, very easily. If you back up your documents to, again, OneDrive or a Google Drive, you're able to recover them that way. The instruction for doing so with Microsoft are listed right here in the presentation for you. Files that are being shared, right? Click the file itself, and you're able to, manage the permissions of your file. Who can access this document? Who cannot access this document? It might look very innocent, but or simple or irrelevant, but you have no idea how much information you actually are giving away by not doing this. There are very, very easy ways that I could be sitting in a room and grabbing information from somebody in another room. You see this in movies. These are real things. It's not they're not made up in any way, shape, or form. If you have any smart devices, Internet of Things devices, if you have the smart thermostats, if you have intelligent audio systems, if you have home automation systems, any security systems that you have and you're working, you want to consider creating a separate network for those. So sometimes it's not excessively difficult to do. If you cannot do it yourself, ask your provider to help you with this. But most people know how to create 2 different networks, right? It separates work material from non-work material. That way, when somebody's able to access an IoT device, as I mentioned, how people would use backdoors, there are ports that can be used. There are, multiple ways of getting into a certain machine. Just because somebody's able to, grab control of your thermostat or your security system. And yes, believe it or not, they look cool, they're great, they're very convenient, but they expose new ways for hackers to actually hack into your devices. So separating your devices, putting everything that's working in a different network is something that will be very, very useful to you. If you're using Zoom, we're using Zoom right now for our presentation. A lot of people are leveraging Zoom more and more and more. We want to make sure that we're taking care of, we're paying attention when we're downloading Zoom, that we're getting the original app from the website, because there are fake ones. If you go and you type Zoom, you'll see some fake ones. You want to make sure that you go to their website, zoom.us, and then you download directly from there. Or if it's an app, you want to make sure that you're picking, you want to make sure you see which one you are, where you're getting it from, because people can actually put some, like, malware can easily be included into any of these apps that you're downloading, and you don't know, but you have some apps that are monitoring the work that you're doing, the emails that you're sending, the communication that you're having. If you're, a lot of people do this. We use social media to share our links. Just be aware that it is going anywhere. You don't have any control over where it's going, and somebody might be able to get it to you, which is why you want to implement certain, you want to put in place certain strategies, like the two-factor authentication. You'll see this arrow, which means there is a link, and it does show how you can actually enable two-factor authentication. Some people, what is two-factor authentication? When somebody's trying to access document X and they get a message, or they get a phone call to validate that, validate that it really is them. It is annoying, but it is extremely helpful. Anything that involves, call to you to verify, it is, admittedly annoying. It could be a waste of time, but in terms of security, it makes sure that only you can actually be the person who's giving this authorization. Or you leverage VPNs, as we mentioned. It's a great way to stay connected. When you get onto a Zoom meeting, the normal stuff, you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for auto mute. If you don't know how to find these things, when you click on security options right here, you'll see some articles with the ways to do most of these things: how to set up waiting rooms, how to lock meetings that you have, how to set out breakout rooms so you can have people in separate rooms, how you can set password protection for your meetings so that only the people that have a password can actually get into these meetings. You want to make sure that the video is on or not, when you want it to be on, and not on when you don't want it to be on. And you can preset a lot of those settings, but they can make a big difference. They can mean somebody eavesdropping to you, even to your screen, and you're not aware of it yourself as well. There is another article that you guys can take the time to look into. Again, a little bit about what our company does. Anything that's got to do with this support, the consultation that you need, the information that you need, the setup that you need. You're looking to have a firewall set in place. It would be great for you. If you're using a home router of any kind, they do have some security enabled. It really just doesn't take very long to get on a call with some experts and ask, hey, how do we control exactly how many people are onto this network? How do we control when, from what time to what time, somebody can have access to this resource of ours? How do we make sure that the network that we're in right now, I'm working from home and there's other people in other places, that they do not have access to my information? These are easy to set up things, but they could mean a lot. I don't know how well we're doing with time right now. Maybe we want to take some questions, and if we have a little bit of time, we'll watch at least one or both of these videos, as they would tell you about some of the newer technology that's in place at this point in time.
All right. Thank you for your presentation. I am sad to hear about Google, because I asked Google to play my meditation sounds right before this webinar every day. So I'm going to have to just...
they might have taken some of your information, but no pressure.
They're always on my Alexa and my Google, so...
They are listening.
Well, I'm very guilty of that one for sure. I'm also happy that you mentioned that the slide also has steps that you're providing that for how attendees will be able to protect themselves from being exposed as soon as they get on their computers. So settings that they can do. So I really appreciate that as well. You know, it's really a part of why we have these webinars, to really make sure that people get at least some tips that they could, you know, and takeaways. I found that what you said about the two-factor authentication very helpful as well. I know it's a pain. I know when I use MailChimp or Zoho or any other one of those applications or so, when I'm somewhere else other than the normal location, they always ask for the two-factor authentication for security. So that's actually really good. So I'm going to get into the questions so that we have some of them answered. So the first one is, it says, I run my business from home, and I know you touched a little bit on this too. I run my business from home, and often I am concerned about sharing a network with my family, especially because my son is a gamer. What advice do you have on that?
We mentioned this a little bit earlier. Just set up a different network. If it's too difficult, you know, for yourself to do, just, you know, your son may be able to do it. If not, you know, reach out to some people who might be able to do some experts. It's just creating a separate network for them and a separate network that you will be on for work. It will make worlds of difference.
So is it a pretty simple step to create a separate network? Is it something that you do through your provider?
Yes.
Something you can look up on YouTube? How do you do that?
It is something that you could, you know, that you do through your provider. So if you have a router of any kind, so when people come into a home of some type or office of some type, you know, you log into the Wi-Fi, right? It's the same thing. Typically, you'll see when you go to this is a practice that most companies, every really, you know, company that is conscious of, you know, from a security standpoint actually do. You want to have a network that is for guests. You want to have a network that is for, you know, employees. Same thing. It's the exact same concept. You know, you want to have a completely different network that is for, you know, work, and another one that is not for work. It's not going to cost you more, but, you know, the steps are not, it's not excessively straightforward. You know, you would need to get some assistance getting that done. I'm sure you can Google it as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you for answering that. Another question is that I use Dropbox a lot for sharing my files for my business. How can I make this process more secure?
Well, so Dropbox is owned, first of all, Dropbox is a company, right? Let's keep in mind every time that we're, you know, clicking on these things and we're seeing these apps and, you know, they look cool and everything, you know, the people who are using, it's not related, but the Snapchats and whatnot, there's literally a company called Dropbox. There's literally a company called, you know, Snapchat. So as we're sending it through them, there's literally a company called, you know, Google. As we're, or, you know, as we're sending these information, as we're putting our information there, let's be aware of the fact that anybody who actually works for Dropbox could actually some way, somehow actually have access to our information. So there are a couple of different ways that, you know, companies deal with this. You can go through them, or you can set up your own, you know, little server or your own little storage that would actually, you know, have information, and you can actually back it up as well. So the cloud, you know, Dropbox is a great example of, you know, the cloud concept. From a security standpoint, you know, you might, as you're working from home, want to get a little bit more creative, see how you can actually, you know, get something that you will keep yourself, or, you know, if it's a bigger company or more people depend on it, how you guys could actually have a way to save some of these files locally. And yes, you want to back them up somewhere, but again, be aware that the information is being shared and more than one other people have access, you know, direct access in some way, shape, or form to your information. Okay. Or let's say indirect access, but still access.
Right. But we trust that Dropbox employees would have an NDA and they have certain standards that they would not be looking at our information or doing anything with our information. But outside of Dropbox, Dropbox, would you say Dropbox is sort of secure, or would you implement some passwords and stuff like that too when you're sharing your files?
And setting password as much as you can is never a bad idea, especially when you're working, with something that has to do with work. But yes, Dropbox has been around for a long time, and they do know what they're doing.
Okay.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be alive. They wouldn't still be up and running right now. But we did just see that a good third of the issues that will happen will come from will involve an internal presence. So as we're going on to the cloud, it is still important to make sure that we have, if we can afford to have our own little infrastructure that belongs to us, even if it's in a remote location, and we're using tools such as VPN to tap into this location and grab the information, it's definitely preferable to using another company if we can afford them.
Okay. All right, very good. I'm glad you mentioned VPN because I do have a question that revolves around VPN. It says, I have employees working from home. I'm looking into a VPN. Would you have any advice about how to go about doing this, or have any suggestions?
Don't go for free VPNs. I do it. Free VPNs, so VPNs allow you to have a secure one-way connection to whatever resource you're trying to get to. So if you have an office somewhere, VPN will make sure that only this is the only pathway to whatever resource you're trying to access. Great in that sense. To get to your question itself, there are a few free ones online that you can get even from there's apps that you can literally look for VPNs. Remember, as you're going for a free VPN, this means that they have to make money some way somehow. Are they collecting your information? There's research available before you jump into any kind of VPN. Google it, get a hold of some other people. If it's a paid service, you are guaranteed to have a lot more, there's a guarantee that your information would not be shared. If you're using a free one, just be aware that chances are that the information that you're sending is being, one way or another, there's some bit of your information that is being shared.
Okay. All right, very good. I actually did not know that there's some free VPNs out there.
There are.
Good that you have free stuff, it sounds like. However, you have to wonder at what cost. So what are you actually paying in order to get these free services? Okay, I have another question. It says, it's sort of a statement and a question. Once a business is already a victim of ransomware and access to their files is restricted, what should they do? Obviously, they will not pay any money to criminals. Thank you.
Oh, we just saw two out of two universities that had to pay almost $1 million and $1.2 million. So a lot of the time, paying the amount is it. You do want to alert the authorities. There are databases that you can go to kind of report such things, but the way that ransomware actually works, unless you have the correct way to decrypt the information that has been encrypted or scrambled in however way, you are sort of in trouble. So you want to keep backups of information.
So to my understanding, ransomware would be someone keeping your information and holding it at ransom?
No, yes and no. It would be you use emails. You send emails all of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be Lionel just getting into finding a way, sending you an email. You click on it. As soon as you click on it, it runs a few processes that completely change the words that are showing up in your email. So sometimes you look at the computer and then you just see a string of letters that cannot be understood, right? Or characters, you know, SV2, 25, and every single one of your emails, everything about all of your communication will just be turned into this text that cannot be read in any way, shape, or form. You're effectively unable to do any kind of work whatsoever.
Okay.
That's what, you know, the effect of ransomware is. And the only way to get it done is to, you know, pay the amount to the people who want it done so that they restore it for you. But if you have your own backup, then, you know, you have to, you know, you can worry a little bit less. And one of the files actually one of the slides that in this presentation actually has some easy steps, you know, for you to create backups of your file, so that in the event that something like this would happen to you, you're able to just go to your backup and use it to restore your documents. But again, as you're using it, you still want to look at what's what are the reviews of the company that you know you're using to have your backup. I cannot stress this enough. Do research or contact people who know what they're doing. It's going to save you a lot. A lot of time you won't even know that you've been hacked.
Okay. So I want to just to circle back to the question and make sure that we answered it. So what should they do? You're saying that they're limited in really, they're limited in what they can do. You are not suggesting, or we're not suggesting for them to pay anyone. However, that's really kind of the only option that they have at this point. And
or doing backups. That's the reason why I started talking about backups. Make sure you keep backups of what you're doing. Make sure you evaluate the company where you're backing things up. As much as we talked about what, you know, happened to Microsoft, you know, they are solid in you know, the people who have been doing it for a long time, no matter what, they're going to be good. So you want to keep backups, or you're going to have to pay.
Okay.
Unless you know, contact some experts and they will try other ways to recover your information. But, you know, ransomware, you know, are effective. That's why they're called ransomware, you know.
Right. Okay. So we are getting close to the end of the program. We do have one more question, and so let's get to it really quickly. It said that you spoke earlier about tracking employee activity. I know you said it's a part of the slide, but can you quickly just touch on that? Because a lot of people have employees and staff that are not with them because of COVID-19. So what is a really good way of tracking what they're doing?
I am going to, I do need to, this is a good time to watch this video. I'm going to share.
We might not have time. It depends on how long it is.
So
if you can just summarize it quickly.
If you are using, I'm sorry about that. If you're using Microsoft, if that is what you're using, you have access to a lot more than you think you actually do. There is quite a bit that is done to secure your information. There is quite a bit that is available to provide you with reporting of any kind. So the question, if I understand correctly, was, I have, you know, several employees. How do I control what they have, right? You know, it is not something that you're going to be able to do yourself. There's certification upon certifications that are needed to run anything that, from a company standpoint and on a personal standpoint, there are certifications that are given, you know, to these. But yes, there are a lot of reporting tools that Microsoft makes available. So if you're using Outlook, if you're using Microsoft, you know, just dig a little bit deeper, contact some Microsoft partners. We are a Microsoft partner, and, you know, contact them. They will show you a lot of things that you were not even aware that were in existence whatsoever.
Okay, so it sounds like they already kind of have tools within their Outlook or systems that they use. They just need to enable, or know how to enable, or to contact a professional that actually knows how to do that, in order for them to be able to track, to ensure that staff is working and how they should be during, I guess, this time. Well, thank you so much. I know in the past, you had mentioned something about Google, your Gmail account. When we were having an off-the-air conversation, a lot of people use Gmail for their business. And you mentioned that it's not necessarily secure or not necessarily recommended. If you could just touch that one time, that would be good.
Yes. So I will elaborate on that a little bit. If you have a Gmail account, if you're using Gmail, you're sending your emails through clear text. They can be intercepted and read. Google has a business suite that's called G Suite.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're using the G Suite, you now are using a more robust system, and they may or may not have encryption in place. And end-to-end encryption. The end-to-end encryption portion is where your information does not get, shared, or accessed. When somebody intercepts that communication, somehow they still won't be able to read anything. So the G Suite may, I will have to verify, have that end-to-end encryption, but if you're just using your normal Gmail, I can read your information.
Oh, wow. You sound dangerous, Lionel.
Not at all.
We had one more question that I just want you to touch. It really is asking if your company is one of those experts that they can contact in the case of a cyber attack. So do speak about that. I know that 2 nights ago we were supposed to get on, and you are in the heart of it because one of the big companies that you support, they were experiencing a major cyber attack. So please do tell us really quickly before we wrap up.
Yes, so we will be able to provide assessments for you. You will be able to provide, steps for you to follow. If you have already been victim of an attack, yes, you definitely can reach out to us, and yes, we will be able to help you as well. And yes, when you and I, we spoke, we're supposed to have a meeting. There was a company of ours that leverages, we spoke a little bit earlier about the company that owns Ray-Ban that was attacked, and they have lost access to all of their information. This company was actually affected by them, and I spent days working with them on
days
this.
and nights.
Yes.
And and all of that. So there you have it. Yes, you can reach out to Lionel and his business. Do say your company name again so that everyone knows it.
Luxon's Business Solutions.
Luxon's Business Solution. You could definitely reach out through us or to them directly. Thank you so much for this presentation. I learned a lot. We continue to learn a lot. Your slides are jam-packed. I know you were really adamant about making sure that you provide enough information to the small businesses. And though we didn't cover everything on the slides, you touched on the most important information that you saw necessary in general for people to know. So we will be sending out the slides to everyone that attended this webinar. And don't forget though that in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be having the next session of how to run your business from home. And this one in particular, it speaks about tips on maintaining productivity and staying focused during COVID-19. We all know that we're distracted because we are at home all the time. Kids are there, family is there, everything is going on. You are home and now you're working from home. So how do you stay productive and get the job done, whether you're working for an organization or you're running your own business? So I hope that you have enjoyed the program. The next webinar will be in 2 weeks, and that is October 8th, I believe. I think I just shared it. And we look forward to seeing you then. We look forward for you to continue to learn as you attend our webinars, because that is our goal for you to learn while you're here. The webinar, again, is on October 8th, and we look forward to seeing you. Lionel Aluka, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Sydney. Before we go, I did want to mention that next month, about a month from now, at the end of the month, we will also be having another webinar. It's going to be on analytics, and analytics is one of my favorite subjects, one of the ones that we do know quite a bit about. Actually, we have a few consultants on our team that are very, very, very proficient. It's going to be a great presentation. You're going to learn how you can, actionably really, really improve the work that you're doing, cater to better clients, and it's gonna be at the end of next month. So please,
Well,
stay
perfect.
stay tuned for us.
Well, tell everyone how they can be able to attend this webinar.
Please, just shoot us an email. Go to the website, to our website, and so it's www.luksons.com. Just subscribe, and you'll be getting some notifications from us, and it's going to be at the end of next month. It's going to be fantastic.
Wonderful. I look forward to. I will attend as well if time serves me well, and I can.
Looking
If you
forward
send
to
me the
seeing you there.
information, I will also share it with our small businesses. Any information that you could provide, anything that could help them to strengthen their business, we're definitely on board with that. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day and be safe.
Thank you so much, Sydney. Have a
You're
beautiful
welcome.
evening.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.